Hey, all, welcome to my channel. I think you saw, if you were there, you saw me right after the game. I pretty much uh, just went off on the Giants, the way they lost. I mean, this season's over. It's pretty much over for the Giants. They're not making the playoffs this year. I mean, if this is the way they're going to play against Seattle, I mean, if you saw how Seattle played, they were not on their game as well too. And the fact that the Giants couldn't capitalize it was surprising. And the fact that there was 11 sacks that was permitted by the Giants offensive line, these Giants are not going to do well. I mean, there are far more better teams that are out there with better defenses. It's probably going to be 20 sacks or something like that. I hate to say, I feel sorry for Daniel Jones, but the guy's going to get massive amount of sacks. I have a feeling he's going to get injured out of the season. I don't know what to say, but the thing is, should the Giants tank? Because most likely they're going to be definitely in the top six for next year's draft, for sure. If they keep losing the way they lose. I want to say the top three, but the way Chicago and Arizona is playing, I mean, as well as Carolina, it might be a different story together with the Giants. They might be in top five for sure at least, but definitely top six in the draft pick. The real question is like, let's say they had the number one pick, the Giants had the number one pick. Who do they go for? Because honestly, you're not drafting a quarterback in the first round because the problem is like you've got Daniel Jones. You're paying him $40 million a year for 4 years, so you can't just draft another quarterback. I mean, honestly, the only other way that happens is you're gonna like get rid of Daniel Jones. You're gonna have to cut him and eat up the rest in cap space, unfortunately. But in reality, that's not going to happen. We know that. So I don't know what happens in that situation with the Giants. So they're not going to draft a quarterback. I mean, looking at the draft this year for next year, basically. I mean, honestly, Caleb Williams is still ranked number one, and for coming from USC, but I don't think he's that generational quarterback that you'll see. I don't think he's like a Peyton Manning or, for that matter, Mahomes, but more sure Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Now, Brady was a different story. Granted, he was picked in the seventh or eighth round. At least Peyton Manning made absolute sense, as well as Drew Bledsoe. Let's put it that way. Drew Bledsoe as well too. But Peyton Manning was a generational player where like Manning made his team immediately better after his rookie year, basically. Not during his rookie year, but after his rookie year. Peyton Manning, not Eli, of course. So if there's going to be a quarterback that has that same exact caliber like Peyton Manning, or is showing glimpses of Peyton Manning, or even for that matter Tom Brady or Joe Montana, whole different ballgame altogether. Then you definitely draft that quarterback because like you can't pass him up. But in reality, I don't think Caleb Williams is that generational player at this point. Similarly to the point of like, do you draft Marvin Harrison? He's a great wide receiver. Just like his dad, he's doing really well in college. But the question is, will that transfer over into the NFL? We don't know. I mean, again, it's always a gamble at that point. But let's not forget, with the Giants, we know what their weaknesses are, and the biggest weaknesses right now is their offensive line. The thing is like, do you draft an offensive lineman in the first round? I personally say no. Why? Because I don't think offensive linemen should be the number one draft pick, or being a draft pick, high draft pick, basically in the first round. Why? Because you can get these players somewhere else, unless they are like really unbelievably superb, where they're going to be a future Hall of Famer. And again, it's hard to determine that, but you could see through college that they have this ability that it's probably not going to work, quite honestly. And then, of course, I mean, because like the real question comes down to is you got the tackle from Penn State, Fashional, basically. I mean, it seems like he's that good, but the question is like Penn State's not really winning as much per se, but it all depends again on that situation. And then, of course, you've got the other aspect of like, maybe you just get defense, go in the defensive route. I mean, let's be honest. Defense wins you games. If you can get another great player on the defensive side, like another edge rusher or another tackle or defensive end, go for it. I say go for it, to be honest with you, because there's nothing wrong with that, quite honestly. But yeah, I don't know. In this case, I mean, I hate to say this, but like Dan Jones is going to get injured. He's probably going to get an injury somewhere along this line. The way the offensive line is, the season's lost. As a Giants fan, I hate to say this, but it's a lost season. Let's just rebuild. I hate to say you're going to have to rebuild. With Saquon Barkley, I hate to say this, but you know what? Trade him. You have him, trade him. Just trade him, get him some draft pick. Get some draft picks out of him. I mean, I know he does wonders for your offense, but you're not going to re-sign him after what we did, after what the Giants organization did to him this season. you're gonna have to trade him. I think you trade him to another team and get some draft picks. The teams, I don't know who you trade him to. Maybe Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay looks like they need a running back. I mean, Baker Mayfield is doing really well now. So if he has a good running back behind him, I think they do really well at that point. If not Tampa, maybe Baltimore, or for that matter, Buffalo. One of those two teams. Trade him off to there. Like I know Buffalo needs a good running back. So does Baltimore. Trade him off to there, and maybe get some draft picks as a result of it. And in the situation with the Giants wide receiving core, if Harrison Jr. comes into their pocket where it falls into their slot, I say yeah, draft him then. I mean, the question is like, is he going to be another Odell Beckham? Possibly. But you know what? Honestly, you get him. I think that helps Daniel Jones. The only thing is you got to rebuild that offensive line. I hate to say this, but they're going to have to sign some free agents for that. But outside of that, I don't know what else they should do at this point, honestly. And look, I'll be honest. I've been bashing Daniel Jones since day one, since he was drafted. And I thought, the signing him for $40 million per year, for $160 million for 4 years, I thought that was a mistake on the Giants' part. Just for 1 year, that's what he proved. For that 1 year, what was done, it shows that he, like you're giving him that much money. And I can understand where the bashers are coming from, the haters are coming from, because honestly, this is a guy that should he have been drafted that high in the first round as a sixth pick or seventh pick or whatever it may be. No, I don't think so. At best, he's a fourth rounder more than anything else. And then at the same time, based on 1 year, is he worth $40 million a year? I mean, like, look at all the other quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson. I mean, he definitely deserves it. Without Lamar, Baltimore falls. With the Giants, Daniel goes. It's going to be the same thing. Nothing changes, honestly. So we're seeing it right now. So it doesn't matter. So that's why I think, this is a case where, like, I can understand where the haters are coming from. I applaud Daniel for basically not going back against his detractors, but at the same time, you got to step up and do something. I know I hate to say this, but like, you know what? Peyton Manning came in rookie year. He screwed up. He understood what to do, and he was able to do it. Eli is a good quarterback advisor, but I don't think he should be taking advice from Eli. If anyone, he should be taking advice from either Tom Brady or basically either Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, more than anyone else. I mean, he has the pedigree of an Eli Manning, but let's not forget, Eli Manning, he was decent enough that he showed his brilliance here and there, but he wasn't your Hall of Fame type of quarterback. And Daniel Jones is by far no means a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's no Phil Simms for that matter. You know what Daniel Jones reminds me of? It just hit me now. I was thinking of him more of a Dave Brown, but in reality, he's more of a Jeff Hostetler. That's what he reminds me of. He reminds me of Jeff Hostetler, because Jeff Hostetler was known to like run out of the pocket and be able to make plays a little bit here. But at the same time, he wasn't that great. We saw it because, like in 93, he wasn't that great. I mean, when he was with the Raiders, he did decent enough, but he wasn't that great. I mean, it was when you surrounded him with great players, he was able to like game manage. I'll admit this, Daniel Jones, if given the right tools around him, he can probably game manage, but I think he's got to get the right tools in place. And he did have the right tools last year, but I think it was more of a case of like, if he reduced his turnovers, it becomes a different story. I mean, right now, unfortunately, the Giants defense sucks as well too. It's a one-trick pony for them, and everyone's caught on to them. I hate to say this, but DeBall's got to like fire his offensive line coach as well as his defensive coordinator and probably his offensive coordinator. I hate to say it, the Giants have to fire them, keep Dable, get rid of the rest, build them up from scratch, get them from college football, the college level, and see what they can do at this point. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think this is the Giants' year? This is a wasted year for the Giants. If the Giants had the number one pick, should they waste it on a QB? I mean, you have basically Caleb Williams, but then you also have what's his name? Let me see, what was his name? I forgot his name now. Caleb Williams and Drake May from North Carolina. Do you take one of those quarterbacks if they're available? Honestly, I say no. Should the Giants waste their high first round pick on an offensive tackle? I mean, is Fashion worth it if they fall into his lap? Is he worth it? It's hard to say. I think personally the Giants should just focus on their offensive linemen on the second round and beyond. The first round, I think you focus on defense at that point, as well as maybe wide receiver. In this case, if you get a Harrison and it falls in your lap, I think you draft Harrison. If they get the number one pick, I don't think you waste it on Harrison. Usually, number one picks should be focused on edge rusher, linebacker, defensive tackle, defensive end, or basically a running back or a QB. But more often than not, QB or someone on the high end of the defensive end of things, because they are worth it. Defensive players make impacts. They can impact the game. QBs can impact the game. Wide receivers, I hate to say it, as well as running backs, they're sort of a dime a dozen nowadays, more than anything else. All you have to do is be creative and show how their skill sets are, and that's it. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Again, I do, like I said, or not like I said, but in my other videos, as I mentioned, I do read all my comments when I get notified, that is. I do respond to them when they warrant a response. My videos, not my shorts, my videos, as well as my lives. If there was someone that was sending a chat on my lives, I don't see him as much. I'm using Restream, so I apologize for that. If it is, I wish, if you could put it on there, comment again, I'll re-comment, respond to that comment. I hate to say it, it kind of sucks that when you comment, or, do a chat while live, it doesn't go into the comment section, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Again, if you like my content, like my videos, like my channel, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If you don't like it, but you still, basically watch my videos, please subscribe as well too. Also, if you like my video or dislike my video, please like or dislike. I know more, I get to know more and get more feedback to determine what content I should focus on. And of course, preparing myself. I'll admit, I don't prepare myself a lot for a lot of these videos that I create. It's usually off the cuff type of things. I don't script it basically. So with, I'm not a scripter basically. I don't read, the only time I'll probably read something is either one, basically I need the bullet points if I'm doing something technical, or two, if I need to look at stats, and that's it. More often than not, I don't even fact check a lot of the times. I'll just if I do fact check, you'll see me basically, going online and you'll see my eyes going like this or like this basically. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and of course, unrehearsed. Until next time.